In the name of my health and yours, Holmes, stop smoking so much. There is more fog in our apartment than in the street.
You are right, Watson, but this evening is never ending, and I have nothing to do but make smoke rings. A more amusing pastime would suit better, but my doctor is against it.
Perhaps a little tune on the violin.
My heart is not in it tonight, Watson. Have you noticed how this cigarette burns? Would you not say it is like a life being consumed? How many lives will end tonight in London? How many crimes will be committed within the life of a single cigarette? Ah, the vanity of existence. It is but complaints and smoke, the meagre panache of its sickly soul.
The tobacco is giving you very sombre thoughts. I am certain that this inactivity will not last. Let's retire. You'll be in better humour tomorrow.
Reason speaks. Let's to bed.
Come this way, my lovely. We'll have a right good time. Wait, let me help you. Oh, it's my hair that pleases you.
The news is as dark as the sky, Holmes. An inquest has been opened into the murder of a poor woman in the East End. The unfortunate girl was discovered last night, lying in the street, still warm. The murderer was filled with an incredible savagery. Oh, the article gave me shivers down my spine. The inspectors in charge of the case don't seem to have even the slightest lead. A similar murder took place less than a month ago.
Ah, love. A romantic walk, a kiss in the moonlight, a polite refusal, a terrible anger, and a hanging.
This area of Whitechapel is a disgrace to London. The government should take serious note of what is going on there.
Whitechapel? This woman was found in Whitechapel?
Yes, indeed. Bucks Row, to be specific.
Then it was not a question of romance, but of commerce. Unless these women actually take pleasure in the vice, the female nature is completely...
Holmes, do you hear yourself? A woman is dead under unspeakable circumstances. No less than any other, she was a human and one of Her Majesty's subjects. None of these streetwalkers of which you speak have any other way to survive but by selling their bodies. You know as well as I that our era is not a gentle one, and these women don't have much to look forward to. Some grace, if you would. Do not refuse them your compassion.
Do not say another word, my dear Watson. We shall leave immediately for Whitechapel.
To the scene of the crime?
No, I think it would be better to arrive there a bit later once night has fallen. At the moment, the spot will be overrun by police officers and spectators. It would be impossible to investigate properly.
Then where are we going, Holmes?
The best thing to do would be to head to the police station and attempt to get a copy of the preliminary reports.
But the article in the Star seemed quite complete to me.
You must know, Watson, that journalists often draw conclusions from the facts without a proper understanding of how to do this delicate task. We must obtain the reports from the inspector in charge, as well as those from the coroner.
Very well, Holmes, but all the same.
It seems to me that I have a map of London somewhere, Watson. Can you find it and locate Whitechapel while I get ready?
You are too kind, Holmes. Searching through your mess? A map of London, at last. Let's see. The district of Whitechapel. I found the map, Holmes, and I was able to locate the Whitechapel police station.
Congratulations, Watson. Come, the game is afoot. You can read the article to me on the way. We have arrived, Watson, in Whitechapel.
Not very bright. And what cold! Brr, a typical London morning.
Come, Watson, let's find this police station.
Well, this station isn't very well kept, I say.
It's a local outpost, Watson. The daily tasks that confront these constables are not the easiest, and they are poorly paid.
Gentlemen, welcome.
Hello, I would like to speak with the Chief Inspector, if you please.
Constable Humphreys here. I am the only one in at the moment. What do you want with the chief?
My name is Sherlock Holmes. I am...
Sherlock Holmes? The detective that I read about in the papers? Well, that's a treat, that is. You come about the Buck Road case, have you? Indeed, we...
Not at all. We were just passing by chance. You say that there was a crime recently.
You don't know? You must be the only folk in London who haven't heard.
It won't be long until you find the culprit, no doubt.
Nothing is less certain. Suspects, 0. Clues, 0. It's not good for us, especially not in this district.
Listen, this isn't what I came here for, but if I can be of service, in a confidential capacity, of course, if you can entrust me with a copy of the preliminary reports, I could study them and return later with my conclusions.
It's just that these are official documents. I can't take a decision like that without the inspectors. The sooner we know the facts in the file, the sooner we can be of help, my friend. Say, if you are Sherlock Holmes, you can find anything, isn't that true? With your magnifying glass, footprints?
My performance is often embellished by my biographer.
Oh, good, good. I will give you the reports, but could you do me a small favour first? During my rounds, I dropped a leather folder containing some papers. Nothing of importance, but it's a big mistake. I would go looking for it myself, but I am stuck here on duty. I must have lost it near the seedy boarding house not far from here. Left when you leave the courtyard and left again in the lane. Perhaps you could go, ask around. We shall see what we can do. Are we going to go look for these documents?
Why not? It'll give us an occasion to take a tour of the district, Watson. Commercial Street. Pardon me, but can you give me some information?
You're all good-for-nothings. Thugs. Vermin.
I have nothing to ask. Excuse me, my good man.
Nasty weather, eh?
Excuse me, my good man.
Nah, time to chat. I've got business. Got it?
Excuse me, my good man.
What? I know you.
I have nothing to ask. Excuse me, my good man.
Out of the way, I don't like the look of you.
Good day, sir. You wouldn't happen to have seen a leather folder on the ground around here, would you?
Good day, gentlemen. Finley, caretaker of this building. Here to serve. And yes, less than an hour ago. But some of the local urchins picked it up and God only knows where it might be now.
That's unfortunate. This police bag contained documents that the local police will miss.
You're inspectors.
Not at all. I am Dr. Watson, and this is Sherlock Holmes, the detective.
Sherlock Holmes, the great detective. You must be here about last night's murder. Have you discovered the identity of the poor woman?
Indeed, I'd only to read the papers.
Mine is dated from this morning, and it does not say who it is.
I'm not really engaged in this case, but if I can help the police, I will do so willingly.
Oh, to be sure. I've been told that Inspector Aberline is in charge. A very capable man.
So, according to you, I have no chance of finding this folder then?
Indeed. But I, on the other hand, should be able to find it. Do me a favour in exchange. A vagrant comes almost every night to sleep in one of the nooks not far from my windows. He coughs, howls, sometimes even sings. He's quite hefty and I don't dare approach him. I've lost 3 tenants because of him. If it's you who speaks to the police, they will take this matter more seriously. Tell them about the captain. They'll know who you're talking about. In the meantime, I'll find your police bag.
Let's go to the police station. Pardon me, but can you give me some information?
Oh, it's so cold. Come, come. Let's warm up.
Pardon me, but can you give me some information?
Misery is a terrible thing.
If you please, arms, arms for my children.
So, gentlemen, have you found my police bag?
Not quite yet. Do you know a vagrant who goes by the name of the Captain?
Captain? Yes, an old sailor, strong as a Turk and tattooed from head to toe. The drink has turned him into a derelict.
He appears to be causing some problems for the caretaker of the building at the end of the street.
What do you want us to do? Every night, stairwells, halls and porches become public dormitories, and people don't only come to sleep. I believe this man has a niece who puts him up sometimes. Her lodgings are in Commercial Street, right after the alley with the boarding house. You won't forget my folder, will you? Do you believe this woman will agree to have her uncle stay with her?
No idea. Oh well, let's go see her just the same. There. This is where the niece of the captain must live. Good day, miss. Would you happen to be the niece of the man known as the Captain?
Oh, yes, that would be me. What has he done this time? He isn't... Oh, my God. I'm on my way.
Miss, we have come to ask if you could have your uncle come live with you. He sleeps under the windows of its boarding house, causes the caretaker no end of problems.
I know. I've lodged him for a while, and he was the same here. My landlord made me kick him out. I'm ashamed, you know. I never should have, given the state of his health. He coughs day and night.
There might be a way to calm his cough. I am a doctor. I could examine him.
You went to see a doctor at the clinic, but the medicine costs too much. I can hardly pay my rent.
We will see to it. Where might your uncle be found?
I don't know. He must be in the vicinity, but I don't know exactly where.
We will find him.
Holmes, this is serious. Find an alcoholic in Whitechapel? A needle in a haystack would be easier.
Come, dear doctor, let's trust to our lucky star. Moreover, we also have our informers, remember?
Are you referring to those brats to whom you are always giving charity?
Exactly, my secret police. Some of them must surely roam in this area. It suffices to find them. Hello, young man. How are you?
I recognize him. It's the lad who sells newspapers, who is always calling outside our windows at Baker Street, early in the morning.
Hello, Mr. Holmes. It's a treat to see you again. What can I do?
Would you happen to know an old sailor who goes by the name of the Captain? A poor man who hits the bottle a bit hard.
Of course, Mr. Holmes. He's there at the end of the street. Round to the left he is. But be careful. He can be a tough customer, that one.
Very good, my young man. The doctor will give you a little something. Watson?
Huh? I say, Holmes?
Is he always such a skinflint with you, Mr. Holmes? Well, thanks to you, Mr. Holmes. Anytime you need me.
I can hear someone coughing more than is natural, Holmes.
Yes, Watson. The poor man cannot be too far away. If, in order to listen to us, this man imposes as condition that we find his pet cockroach, there will be another murder in Whitechapel today, Watson. Yours.
Ah! He is in a critical state, Holmes. He has barely a month left.
Is there a way, dear doctor, to ensure that this last month passes in silence?
Really, Holmes, sometimes you... Oh, really? I will make note of some medicine to get immediately that will relieve his pain.
Very well. I will locate an apothecary or a clinic. I have nothing to ask. Batty Street. Burner Street. I have nothing to ask.
You're in a rush, my pretty? Come, I'll have you done so quickly you'll only have time to pay.
This building is a clinic.
Good day, sir. Dr. Gibbons. You aren't from around these parts.
Indeed, Doctor. It is for someone from your neighbourhood that I am here, though. His doctor asked that I acquire some medicine on his behalf. I have the note here.
Dr. Watson? Not from round here neither. This medication is quite dear. Certain documents are necessary to obtain them for free.
I don't have it. You'll have to accept my spare change. Will it be enough?
Enough to relieve your patient for a month. Would you like me to make this prescription available after that time?
According to Dr. Watson, that won't be necessary.
The possibility of a recovery?
A definitive one, yes.
There, sir.
Thank you. It's rather quiet here.
An unusual chain of events. The majority of the people hereabouts went out last night to see the great fire at the warehouse. The patients that I was minding and my staff were no exception. The former were dramatically healed, and the latter ended up sick. And with the murder last night, most of the people who weren't working wandered over to the scene of the crime. Their little aches and pains will wait until tonight or tomorrow.
A squalid murder, it would seem.
Just like what this area has become.
My thanks, Doctor.
Not at all.
Find the medicine, Holmes. We must make haste. Find the medicine, Holmes. We must make haste.
Here is the medication, Watson. Is our man movable?
He should be able to stand in a few minutes and will no longer be suffering from his cough before long.
Consider the affair resolved. Accompany him to his niece's while I return to the boarding house, and then join me at the police station. Let's return to the boarding house. I have good news for you, Mr. Finlay. We have sent the captain to stay with a relative, and he shouldn't bother you for a while.
I also have some good news. I have your police bag.
Thank you. I bid you good day.
Oh, it was nothing. Tell me, one of my wife's friends lost...
Another day, Finlay. Another day. Let's go to the police station.
So, what news do you have, Mr. Holmes?
Are you sure it's the police bag that you lost?
Yes, but someone attempted to force it open. They didn't succeed, but now the lock is stuck. Perhaps you could...
Let's see.
So, what news do you have, Mr. Holmes?
All done.
Ah, a big thank you, Mr. Holmes.
Think nothing of it, my friend. So, the reports.
Why don't you wait till the inspectors get back? You would certainly learn more.
If I wanted to meet the inspectors, I would have done so. So, give me the preliminary reports, and above all, do not mention my visit to anyone. Is that clear?
Sure, if that's what you want. Here are the reports.
Thank you.
Have you obtained the preliminary reports?
Yes, we'll read them on the go. Let's to the scene of the crime at Bucks Row, Watson.
But what are all these people doing here, Holmes?
Apparently, they came to see the scene of the crime.
What about us? Aren't we going to see it?
We will return this evening, Watson. The circumstances should be ideal for carrying out our little experiments. Well, Watson, we are at the scene of the Polly Nichols murder. Imagine the victim lying at the spot where she was found and try to discern all of the clues we can. Watson, you are a writer. I am therefore entrusting you with our deduction board. It will help us to establish certain facts.
Understood, Holmes.
No signs of blood. Let's look at this poor woman more closely. The throat was slit from left to right. There are 2 incisions. There's a bruise on the left cheek. There's a bruise at the level of the right maxilla. The tongue is swollen. A small pool of blood, 6 inches in diameter. The body was lying on its back, legs straightened slightly apart. The skirt had been lifted up to the middle of the body. The left hand was touching the barn door. The body was still warm. Let's reread the preliminary report for the details on the wounds inflicted upon this poor woman. The body was still warm. Let's reread the preliminary report for the details on the wounds inflicted upon this poor woman. There is a black bonnet near the left hand. No marks on the ground. The ground is muddy.
This spot is deserted, Holmes. The prostitutes only come here to exercise.
There is only one streetlight lit on this street, Watson, and this spot is particularly poorly lit. Well, Watson, we have found all of the possible clues, I think. We will now attempt to recreate the scene of the murder. Come closer, Watson. I have to make you up.
You are joking, Holmes? I feel ridiculous, Holmes.
Now, Watson, come and stand here in front of me. You shall play the role of the poor woman and I shall play that of the murderer. Let's try to reconstruct the facts to ensure the final result corresponds indisputably to the way that Polly Nichols was killed. Yes, it's quite possible the events occurred like this. Yes, it's quite possible the events occurred like this. This position is unlikely. Yes, it's quite possible the events occurred like this. No, there is no reason the murderer would be positioned like this. The grip would be awkward. Yes, it's quite possible the events occurred like this. This position isn't very comfortable either. Yes, it's quite possible the events occurred like this. I hope that, as with the real murder, nobody had to witness all of that, Watson. If the murderer used his right hand astride his victim, there wasn't much room. The murderer had enough room to inflict the wounds to the neck, and these wounds suggest the left hand was used. My dear Watson, now that we have found all of our clues, nothing remains but to subject them to our most likely hypotheses in order to deduce the facts. victim was most probably dead before being laid down. Once the heart stopped, gravity drained the body slowly, not in a heavy spurt that would have stained half the street.
Thank you, Holmes. I understand why you told me not to change clothes. Do you realize that our behavior didn't alarm anyone?
The victim's ordeal was even more discreet. By acting in silence, we have confirmed something. The crime definitely took place here. The victim and her murderer were able to come here without making any noise, and afterwards the murder took place without the slightest cry being uttered. Come, Watson, let's go home. We have spent far too long in this sinister alley. And so, my dear Watson, the day and night which we passed in Whitechapel were enlightening, weren't they?
An adventure that I most certainly will never relate. To be in the skin of that poor woman. I prefer not to speak of it further. But have we really learned anything about the murderer? Obviously a man, given the necessary strength.
We have little to go on, at least no more than the police. But in my opinion, Inspector Aberline has a trick or two up his sleeve. No, I want to talk about the facts and what we can draw from them. We know where the crime was committed and under what conditions. I would like to ask you about the possible motives for the crime. According to you, Watson, what could have pushed the murderer to act in such a way?
Homicidal insanity, Holmes.
It is indubitable that the man who did this to Polly Nichols is not of his full senses.
Black magic?
I'm not terribly interested in the occult or black magic. Let's give the benefit of the doubt to this motive.
Revenge, Holmes?
Revenge could be a possible motive, but with one small reservation. We have reason to believe that the victim considered her murderer to be a typical client.
A personal drama?
Love can certainly lead to many a drama, but we have to consider the fact that the victim didn't know her attacker.
Theft, perhaps?
I have a hard time believing that someone would attack poor Polly so fiercely just to rob her of a few coins.
Homicidal insanity, Holmes.
It is indubitable that the man who did this to Polly Nichols is not of his full senses. Elementary. Very well, Watson. I think that we've exhausted the topic. Take a rest and we'll speak again later.
Ah, it would seem that the investigation is advancing, Holmes. Yesterday's Star said that a suspect is in the hands of the police, a man with a rather sinister reputation.
I was about to join you in your optimistic outlook until you informed me that the good news came from the press, Watson.
But surely they wouldn't invent the fact that the police are holding a suspect, or the acts that are attributed to him.
You will have an exact answer to these two questions in less than 50 seconds, Watson.
Pardon?
Enter, Inspector.
Good day.
Dear Watson, allow me to introduce Inspector Aberline, Inspector Dr. Watson.
Inspector?
To what do we owe the honour of your presence, Inspector?
I heard that the two of you made your way to Whitechapel a few days ago. Your arrival, you are aware, coincides with a very serious affair which our police service is going to great lengths to solve and which is creating strong tensions in the area.
Pardon me, but haven't you arrested someone? A certain Leather Apron?
Absolutely not. The man who hides behind this name is indeed being actively searched for by the force. Besides, nothing at the moment suggests that he is the Bucks Row murderer.
There, you've been enlightened, Watson. Now it is our turn to answer Inspector Aberline's questions.
Indeed. I will be brief and precise. Do you intend to investigate this case, or have you already started?
It is to be of service to a friend that I went to Whitechapel. We did, out of curiosity, familiarize ourselves with the preliminary reports, and we made our way to the scene of the crime. Our conclusions are slim, as are the clues. Having not been officially appointed by a client, I believe that my intervention in this business will end there.
Very well. To be frank, you take the weight off my shoulders by distancing yourself from the case. Our image isn't very good, to say nothing of what the press puts us through. Thus, if overnight they found out that you were on the case, people would turn against us.
And they would pest me, overwhelm me, and finally make me out to be responsible for the inevitable failure such a scenario entails. Neither you nor I wish for this to happen. I know that your time is precious, Inspector. I will send you a note regarding my conclusions shortly.
With pleasure. Gentlemen?
Do you think that he will find the murderer?
The chances are slim to non-existent. It is 7 days now, short of a confession from the murderer himself.
And you will not go further?
You heard the Inspector, Watson. My presence in Whitechapel would hinder, which doesn't mean that we will drop the case.
How is that?
The Inspector spoke of me, but not of us. It is you, Watson, who will lead the investigation tonight. It is you who will bring to the police station the little note that I will write regarding our conclusions. Despite the late hour, there is nothing to stop you from making inquiries about this famous leather apron while you are there.
Well, if I follow Holmes's instructions, then to begin my investigation into this leather apron, I must first head to the police station.
Good evening, sir. What do you... I know you. You were here last week with Sherlock Holmes.
Indeed. I have come to bring a message from Sherlock Holmes for Inspector Aberline.
Very well, I will pass it on. But come to think of it, someone was asking about you recently. Finley, the caretaker of some shady boarding house nearby. Does that mean anything to you?
Ah, perhaps. Actually, I read in the Star that you have arrested a suspect called Leather Apron.
You shouldn't believe what you read in that rag, sir. The man is being hunted, but we have yet to get our hands on him. And we aren't close to it either.
Why ever not?
Bah, he's a specialist in the streetwalker racket. These girls make pitiful witnesses, and we don't inspire confidence. Furthermore, the man seems to be pretty discreet lately. Someone must be helping to hide him.
How to get on his trail, then?
One of these girls would have to confide in us and give a valid description of the man. Then we'd ask around the journeymen, who use aprons, I imagine.
Well, goodbye. I must go to Finley's boarding house. Good evening, Finley.
Oh, good evening, sir. Aren't you the gentleman who was with the great detective the other time?
That is indeed me, Dr. Watson. Tell me, Finley, I was told that you were looking for us at the police station.
Indeed, I wanted to thank you for last time, you know. That vagrant has never set foot round mine again. I even found a tenant, one who pays his rent, I mean.
You don't seem very happy, but you were lucky to have found a good tenant so quickly.
It's just that this man is very strange. He paid several days in advance and I gave him a key to the place. Since then, he goes out every night and returns at ungodly hours. I'm sure he goes to visit the ladies, but still, every night. And when he moved in, something must have broken in his case and stank up the stairs in his room for 2 days. I think it was a jar. It must be over there.
Tell me, have you heard talk of Leather Apron?
By the papers, that's all. This man seems very sinister.
Do you know any journeymen who use this type of apron?
The slaughterhouse butchers, I believe, but definitely the cobblers. I know one, old Isaac Solomonovich. His workshop is on a small street in the Jewish community, across from the hospital. He's a good man. He can help you. But you know, the people there are very close and don't share much with non-Jews.
Thank you, Finley.
At your service, sir.
This odour is very strong indeed, but the whole neighbourhood as such has a dreadful stench. Finley might have an idea as to what this jar that contained.
What do you want, Doctor?
You're right, the pieces of the jar that your tenant broke do give off a strange smell.
It's true. That's quite normal given his trade.
Yes, and what would the trade be of your strange tenant?
A doctor, like yourself, I believe. Dr. Tumblety, a foreigner. Canadian, perhaps.
Dr. Tumblety. It might be interesting to know more about him. Thank you, Finley.
At your service, sir.
Tell me, is it...
I'm on duty, sir.
Tell me, is it...
Now time to chat, I've got business, got it?
Oh, it's so cold. Come, let's warm up.
We don't much like people with your looks round here. Understood?
Tell me, is it...
Out of the way, I don't like the look of you.
Tell me, is it...
What? I know you.
Oh, it's you. I'm coming. Dr. Watson, how are you?
Well, and yourself? And how's your uncle?
Well, he sleeps a lot, but he doesn't seem to be suffering. Your medicine has worked wonders. Thank you again.
It was the least I could do. I have come to see you about a certain Leather Apron. Have you heard of him?
Oh, yes, of course. Terrible things are said about that man.
Have you ever come across him?
Goodness gracious, no. But I know that he has threatened and taken many girls in my situation. I don't know what more I can say, but Bella will be able to tell you some.
Who is Bella?
Bella Pullman. She's the landlady of the place where I could take you there if you like.
Please do.
It's me. It's Lucy. This gentleman would like to speak to Bella. It's the doctor who helped me. I must leave to return to my uncle. Thanks again.
Out of the way, I don't like the look of you.
Can I get a refill, please?
If you'd be patient, Madam Bella will arrive in a moment.
Good evening. I am Dr. Watson. It is young Lucy who told me to come see you.
Ah, so you're the Good Samaritan who saved her uncle without asking for anything in return. And now you've come to see me, no doubt, to explain that the poor little thing doesn't belong here, and you will see to her future. Well, if you expect me to let her leave with you...
It's not that, Ma'am. You should know I am a married man.
And why should that matter?
I believe there has been a misunderstanding. The reason that Lucy sent me here is that you may be able to give me some information about Leather Apron.
Are you a doctor or a constable?
I am most certainly a doctor, but I am acting in this matter in a private capacity, and I would like to find this man.
Well, if you're able to rid us of him, I'll give you a week's worth of free passes. That man is a thorn in our sides. He spies on the girls in the streets and watches them inside the houses, spying through the windows. And as soon as they're finished with a client, he jumps on them without any warning and forces them to give him their money. I've never seen him, but one of my girls was attacked by this man, and she said that he wore a leather apron and carried a knife. And his face, oh, he has a horrible head, with rat's eyes and a deformed mouth. She even said that she knew his name, Pizer or Pizer, I think. But I don't know where she can be found. Margie, Nutcracker, the girl I'm talking about, could tell you more, but I had to let her go last week.
Why did you let Margie go?
The poor girl caught a shameful sickness, and the symptoms have attacked her face, if you know what I mean. So I gave her notice, and a little bit to help her along. I don't know where she is now, but she'll certainly be getting treatment at the clinic if she's still in the neighbourhood.
Did you speak to the police?
What would they do? Who cares about the girls in the streets?
Would you have received a visit from another doctor, a stranger, by the name of Tumbleton?
I'm just like you, Doctor. Sworn to secrecy in my profession. But as I've taken a fancy to you, I can tell you that this name is not unknown to me. And if you do me a little favour, it is possible I might remember something about him.
What kind of favour must I do for you?
You see that man over there? He's a rich artist, a painter, a regular client round here. Well, yesterday, he came and left his cane in the umbrella stand in the hall before going into one of the rooms. Well, when he returned to this room, the cane had disappeared. It's a cane with a massive silver knob. Must be worth a fortune. He threatened to call the police unless he got free services in my establishment for a year. I'll be forced to accept, unwillingly, of course, given the services that he's demanding, unless the cane is found.
Did you question the residents regarding the theft?
They didn't see anything, and there's not one of them that would risk stealing from a client here.
Who was in the room when your weasel of a client was in the chambers?
There were a few that came and went, but Mary could tell you better than I can, because she was the one at the counter yesterday.
Thank you, Ma'am.
No problem, my angel.
What happened to this rug?
Oh, it's when we got a coal yesterday. I asked the young man to fill the pail. Came back to put it down, but his feet were covered in soot and he made a black print. Madam Bella said it was my fault and I got a shilling's penalty. I also have to clean the print and it's no picnic. He has immense feet, that boy.
I heard that there was a theft yesterday. Did you see anything?
No, and I was here the whole time.
Who delivers the coal?
It's never the same person. I've never seen that lad before.
Do you always keep an eye on the coat stand?
Oh, yes. Well, when the coal delivery came, a client came out of the chambers and stopped me from seeing the boy who brought the bucket of coal. You don't think he would have taken advantage?
Who delivers the coal?
It's never...
Until next time, miss.
With pleasure, sir.
Best not to stray off in that direction. Best not to stray off in that direction. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, my dear man. I was led to believe that you're a doctor.
None of the residents of this establishment are among my patients, sir.
Oh, you're not here as a doctor, but as a man, then. I understand. This is my kind of place, too. It's in these houses in Whitechapel that you find the girls that are the most natural and definitely the most docile.
Your way of speaking about these women is not that of a gentleman, sir. I heard that you were the victim of a robbery here.
Oh, I'm not complaining. The loss of that walking stick will certainly bring me a very pleasant compensation.
What does your cane look like?
The stick is ebony, about 35 inches long. The round knob is made from chiseled silver with a ring around the middle of the same workmanship, just like the tip, for that matter. If you find it, don't tell a soul. Keep it for yourself. Got it?
Well, goodbye, sir.
Goodbye. Or until next time. And good evening.
These paintings are suggestive, at the very least.
Out of the way, I don't like the look of you.
You're in a rush, my pretty. If you have the means, I can let you pass before everyone. But behind me.
I'm heading to Zanzibar. I've heard there's gold down there, but I have to find a boat that'll take me on the sly.
No, it would be better not to insist. Good evening, Doctor. My name is Dr. Watson. Pleased to meet you.
Good evening. I am Dr. Gibbons. Likewise.
I have come to see you about one of your patients. Margie goes by the nickname Nutcracker, who gets her prescription from the clinic. She's a lady of the night and is afflicted with a venereal disease.
I know who you're talking about. Indeed, Margie has syphilis and is being treated with mercury.
Do you have her address?
No. And for your information, she left London for good 3 days ago. She felt threatened.
Margie felt threatened? But by whom?
I believe that Margie was particularly scared of a terrifying man who attacked her once.
Did she say the name Pizer or Pyther?
Unfortunately, she didn't give a name, but she described a man with shifty, rat-like eyes and a mouth twisted in a sinister grimace.
Did Margie have any idea where this man who terrified her so much might be found?
No, but she told me that another girl who'd been attacked like her had told her that this man worked in a cobbler's run by an old Israeli. Also, she saw him again last week, the night of a big fire. She told of going to see the fire like most everyone else in the area. While there, she recognised her attacker in the crowds gathered at the warehouses. There was no mistaking a face like that, she said. She kept an eye on the man the whole time the firemen were working in order to avoid him.
Goodbye, Dr. Gibbons.
Until we meet again, my dear colleague.
This interview with the doctor revealed an important fact. Leather Apron could not be the Bucks Row murderer. According to Margie, the villain passed most of the night of the crime at the fire. He could not have been at the scene of the murder at the moment it was committed. He is, nonetheless, a dangerous character. A cobbler's shop. Closed.
If you please, arms, arms for my children.
Come, my lord, a little coin. Oi! Come, my lord, a little coin. Oi! I have no reason to go that way. The night is cool. What a horrible summer we have had. Does the name Tumblety mean anything to you?
Not at all. But if you like, I can make inquiries.
Fine, why not? One never knows. Well, goodbye.
Some news, Doctor?
Well, goodbye. I have no reason to go that way.
What do you want, Doctor?
Thank you, Finley.
At your service, sir.
I have no reason to go that way. I have no reason to go that way. No, it would be better not to insist. Closed. Tell me, is it...
Out of the way, I don't like the look of you.
Tell me, is it...
I'm on duty, sir.
No, it would be better not to insist. I have no reason to go that way. A large, black footprint.
What can I do for you, my dear colleague?
Pardon me, Doctor, but who made the large black footprints there near the beds?
The brother of one of my patients. The poor thing had a leg amputated after colliding with a carriage. We arranged to find her a prosthesis.
Prostheses are very expensive. How did this man pay?
He told me that one of his uncles gave him a walking stick with a chiselled silver knob. I agreed to accept this knob in exchange for a simple prosthesis with harness. But this object is of great value, and I could finance half a dozen other prostheses by selling it on Petticoat Lane.
Doctor, I have reason to believe that the silver knob that you possess is from a cane that was stolen by the man who brought it to you. And I believe I know to whom it belongs.
That's what I was worried about. The story of the uncle seemed a little strange. Nevertheless, you must have proof of what you claim. I will show you all of the knobs that we have here. If you find the knob that the young man gave me, I will believe you.
So be it, but something is bothering me. I will need a complete cane, not just a knob.
Don't worry, dear chap, build one. I can loan you some tools. Make use of the odds and ends in my cupboard. It'll help get rid of it.
Well, I shall try. I will have to remember the description that Sickert gave. Goodbye, Dr. Gibbons.
Until we meet again, my dear colleague.
There, all done. Holmes couldn't have done better himself.
What can I do for you, my dear colleague?
I believe I found the knob from the stolen cane, which I succeeded in putting back together.
That's the one. And yet I cannot give it to you, Doctor. I will only return it to the police, and only if there is an official complaint against me.
Would there be a way to convince you to give me the cane?
Find me a dozen solid adjustable harnesses for wooden leg prostheses, and it's yours, Doctor.
Goodbye, Dr. Gibbons.
Until we meet again, my dear colleague.
There's nobody here. How very odd. I say, these things look like harnesses. Oh my, they are noisy. Good evening, sir. Pardon the interruption. The door was open. I didn't think that I would find anyone working at this hour.
Good evening, sir. I didn't hear you come in.
Say, those things that made noise, they are really harnesses, aren't they?
Yes, horse harnesses. But I must tell you, sir, that the store is normally closed at this hour. That is why I've asked you to return tomorrow.
I didn't come about my shoes. I came to speak of a cobbler, perhaps one of your former employees, a man with very particular habits.
You aren't with the police by any chance? I'm sorry, but I do not want to speak of anything but shoes with you.
I am not a policeman. I am Dr. Watson. It's Mr. Finlay, who told me that you might be in a position to inform me.
Ah, that Mr. Finlay is a very brave man. And if he sent you, then you must certainly be a worthy man also. So, Doctor, who is this cobbler with strange habits?
The man of whom I speak is called Pizer or Pyther, a man with a frightening face. Do you know him?
Yes, John Pizer. He worked here for a while, but he is no longer here.
Do you know where I can find him?
No, and if you look, you will not find him.
Why?
Because he is in hiding, Doctor. You see, a week ago, a horrible murder took place in the neighborhood. A rumor circulated that he might have been responsible for this crime. They say he has quarreled with women of certain virtue in the past, if you understand me.
Isaac, it is about the Bucks Row case that I have come to see you. I have the certitude and an incontestable witness that Pizer is innocent, at least of this crime, although he has attacked a number of street women. If he doesn't come forward to explain himself to the authorities, he is condemned to hiding and to take the fall for this murder. Furthermore, it will cast suspicions on your community because they must be hiding him. And while the whole police force is hunting for him, they cannot concentrate on the real assassin who roams the streets and, one never knows, may take any one of you any day.
If what you say is true, your visit is a godsend to our community, Doctor. I tell you something. I know Sergeant Thick, an honest policeman who lives in the area. I'll tell John's family that he must go there to explain himself. But if you could please go as soon as possible to the police to give them this report that you say is incontestable.
I will go as soon as I take leave of you.
Thank you. If I can ever be of service in any way, do not hesitate to ask.
Could we transform your horse harnesses into harnesses for wooden legs? Adjustable harnesses?
A good craftsman can do anything, Doctor. And I do believe that's what I am. Come back in a while and it will be done. That will be my thanks for what you have done.
I shall return later.
At your convenience, sir.
I am spent. I would like to return home. But I promised to go to the police as soon as I could. Now then, let's go to the police station.
Will you?
Yes.
Hey, Doctor, you seem tired. Were you wandering the darker parts of Whitechapel all night?
You could say that. I have some information on Leatherapron, the man of whom we spoke earlier.
Do you know where he is?
No, but I can clear him of the Bucks Row crime. A witness proved him totally innocent.
Oh, Watson, Watson, is it only now, after many hours of walking, that you decide to pass on the important message that Inspector Aberline is waiting for?
But, no. But what are you doing here, Holmes?
I was worried, Watson, and with good reason it would appear. Go give the message to this policeman and let's go home. Nobody appreciates me hanging around here, you know, and it's freezing cold.
Ah, Cradle, none too soon. You will take the testimony of this.
No, you continue with your duty shift. I must find Chandler in Ambury Street. He's struck again.
Who?
The murderer, the Bucks Row assassin.
Hanbury Street. Let's go, Watson. We have no time to lose. I have no reason to go that way. Hanbury Street. Let's go, Watson. We have no time to lose.